Okay, let's get ready here for tips, tricks, and jigs. If you've got a tip, tricks, or jigs, I don't know who all does. I should have been rounding them up during the break. I know Dave's got one, Carl's got one, Rich has got one. So just kind of be ready to go unless somebody wants to go first. You want to go first, Carl? You see your? Come on up, Carl. Carl, right? I'm calling you by the right name. Sometimes
In the past, there's always tips, tricks, and jigs in the AAW monthly magazine. At a class with one of the professionals, we made our own three-point tool. And then some time later, in a past issue of AAW, they had a idea of just making an equilateral triangle in dead center, slightly less diameter than your shank, and this keeps your 3 points sharp, because if you're just doing it freehand, your point is going to get off. So this was already in AAW in the past. So my trick is, it came out a number of years ago, and if you didn't see that or didn't miss it, and you're still freehanding your 3 points, try equilateral triangle with the center, dead center. That's important, and then you can adjust it for what kind of angle you want and how long the bevel is. So that's reuse an old AAW trick. Pardon me? Yes, if it was for sharpening or turning. This is for sharpening.
The question was, is it for sharpening?
Yeah, this is for sharpening. Put it on your rest on your slow grinder.
On the flat rest. Put it on the flat rest and
yes.
Slide it right up there.
Yes. So it holds it in place. That's the idea. I didn't hear that. Yes, that is true. That is true. And we like embellishing. My wife does glass fusion, so we have a cross fertilization. I think that's good for wood turning, is using different mediums, fiber arts, basket weaving, all that other stuff. So I've incorporated, Sylvia makes these glass fused buttons, we call them, of different diameters. And then I put them sometimes on the bottom, like these two. And this is a walnut box. I didn't bring the lower part, so I have a dark blue button. So it just adds a nice feature. And most people don't put glass into wood, but I do. I asked Sylvia, as soon as I bring this up, that someone or more than one is going to say, can she make some? And her answer was kind of wonky. Well, how about if I make a bunch and then bring them for whateverness? And then I said, okay, when? I don't know. How much? I don't know. So let me know. Let me know. It's glass fusion is melting. Glass blowing is literally heating a glob of glass. Yes. Yes. Yeah. All of these colors, pigments, dyes, pieces of glass, dichromatous dichroic, has kind of an iridescent feature. So all of the above. So I will tell her there's an indeterminate number of people who are interested. And then my last thing.
What adhesive do you find on the glass to the wood?
Um, Easiest is medium CA glue, but that'll dry out and turn brittle as the years roll by. So now I use kind of a silicone
Thank you.
tube silicone that is a little more. It allows movement of the wood. E6000. That would, yes, I have some of that. That is true. And the last idea is we're always don't our ways, our bed ways get kind of gummed up. So Wood Turner Wonders, familiar with Wood Turner Wonders? Okay, they sell a slick stuff. I don't know if you've ever bought it. Wonder Slick Stick is a safe, clean, convenient way to lubricate all types of abrasives and cutting tools, including CBN diamond wheels, as well as your bandsaw blade. It's kind of a thick, and it can also be applied to the bedways. It doesn't really attract dust that bad. However, it's a thick wax paste, so that doesn't help anything slide easily. So I just take a sniglet of paint thinner after slapping some onto the ways, and basically the paint thinner melts, dissolves the Wonder Stick, and it just turns it into grease lightning. That's it. Pardon me? Yeah, yeah. Or you can just buy Glide Coat table and tool service lubricant. You can do that too. I think they sell that here. And that's a wrap. Thank you.
I brought this before. I think we were at the jam when I brought this before, but I was asked to bring it again. So this is a off-center, I guess you'd call it a pendant chuck. I'd say it's an off-center pendant chuck, so it's kind of designed for small pieces that you might make turn into a pendant. So what I made this for specifically, this is a Nova chuck with 100 mm jaws. I took 2 of the jaws out. We can kind of see along trying to get in here. I measured across my points of my jaws and then staggered these divots, if you will, so that I can move this along that,
You can see it here.
that plane. So I can off-center my piece, come back in here, and now you can see that, if I didn't bring any tools, but if I had a pencil or something like that, I could kind of draw on here what's going on. Yes, it is. Thank you. I'll probably spend 15 minutes just trying to get the backer off here. I got it. Thank you. So this kind of helps to put some pressure on it if I had it would if I had that centered. But so I'll just go ahead and try to center that as best as I can on there. And then, as you can see, so then I can make cuts in any kind of pattern here. You know, I can kind of do this, then readjust to make some other kind of pattern.
What did you think you would call that?
Well, it's an off-centered chuck, and I would say for pendants, like necklace pendants.
Yeah, but what's the black material that you use to make that?
It's 3D printed. So it's PLA in this case. So then I could kind of come along and do another one, and this is going to be in a different area. You know, so you can kind of get the idea. You could do spirograph, if you will. So another aspect of this is the last time I brought this, I made it because someone, I think it was Ron Vincent, who had made one out of wood. And I thought, well, I can add some features in here that you couldn't get out of wood. So I have gear teeth on here. So once I've registered that, I'm trying to remember how many I've got, 12 marks on here, but then in between each mark is 4 notches, so I can move that 12 times 4 in orientation. So, you know, once I've made, I keep this the same. I can come back and make that like a very similar cut, but I've rotated this. Oh, I'm in the same spot here, so. Oh, you can kind of get the idea. So I can move this along this axis and get different centers, and I can rotate this to get, you know, different combinations of that. So I had to make this one this week because I couldn't find the box of all my stuff from the one before, which had a few examples, you know, in it. But that's basically it. I've made this one for the Nova Chuck. I've had a couple of people ask me to make them for their chucks. So basically what I need to know on their chuck is how far apart those points are and what, you know, what diameter jaws they are. So if you're interested in something like that and you don't have a Nova Chuck and you were interested in doing something like that, hit me up and we can figure something out. So it's fun to develop these for people, you know. To print this, both of these were about 11 hours. And I was working at home and I had to turn it off because I had some Zoom meetings for work. So it took about 13 hours, I guess, to actually print. So my printer is nice. I can pause it and go back and start it up again. So that's it, basically. Thank you.
This is just one of those projects that you never know. But this thing is amazing. I think it's probably on all the time that I'm in my shop. It's for the finer dust that, you know, makes you cough and dry. I had one in my, I had one in my rafters with just a filter slapped on the back of it, a 20-inch filter. But when that gets a little plugged up, it, you know, if you pull the filter off, you can feel the tension in the resistance. But what's amazing about this is it takes the dust from where the dust is, right? Usually about bench height or lower. And it puts the fresh air where you want it, which is where you're breathing, right? And I kind of picture a sprinkler. Do you remember the cheap sprinklers that were like a fountain in the, it's just constantly putting out pure air. And I used to live at my old house. That was my shop. I had more sawdust than furniture in my old house. But I could always open cross windows if it got real dusty. But even that does not even come close to the performance of this in my basement. So I have a breakdown. If you guys want to grab one of these, I don't know what we can do for the folks online, but this steel part is from Rockler. And you can custom make the, you know, get the custom sizes. So I got a 20 by 20, 32 inches high, the casters. It's just a simple, cheap 20-inch box fan. And then I have a remote on here, and what's nice about this is when I shut the lights off, I can let this keep running for a couple hours. And it just makes a huge difference. I thought I got by on the cheap, but I did make this printout for you guys. I added it up. I think I've got, whoops, about $400 into this thing. But if you want to know specific parts or pieces where mine came from, and you could probably do it cheaper, I did make a printout. I got like 15 copies here. Are there any questions? I feel like I'm forgetting a couple things. Yes. Yeah, well, I do, and it's kind of hanging from my rafter.
Yeah, the question was, have you ever thought about just duct taping a filter to a box fan and putting it up there?
And that does do it, but it doesn't scrub the whole room as nearly as well as this does. And this always has good, what I like about the wheels is if it's in my way, I just get it out of here and I can do my sanding and then I get back to the router or whatever. These are big casters. It'll go over an extension cord. There are 5 filters, thank you, yeah. And on the breakdown here, I got prices. You can spend, these are like $3 a piece, and my wife buys them. I started off with fancier ones, which I'm sure she threw away, but they would eliminate odors, smoke. You know, I'm in a confined space with lacquer, paint, whatever, and that did a pretty good job. There are 4 around and 1 at the bottom. Yeah, oh, I just did this to show you an example of what we, oh, I know what I forgot here. Yeah, kind of, yeah, pretty much. So here's a problem. I was laying my tools here, especially my lathe. Pretty soon this thing's all full of gouges. I'm not getting any air. Then the fan died, so I bought a new one, and I took this off my old fan and just did an extension on here so that now when this is covered up, I still have 4 windows of plenty of room for the air to flow out. Yeah, and it helps a lot. So I can go ahead and throw my gouges on here and not worry about it. I have to have talk with my wife because she just replaces them. Ooh, those look dirty. I better change them. I wish she would leave them alone. That's the deal right there. Yeah, I know. But yeah, you can blow them off with air. Yeah, well, a little.
Does she say the same thing about your floor? Ooh, this is dirty. I need to sweep it.
No, I can't.
No.
Yeah, you can certainly hit it with some air a few times. They're not working that hard because there's 5 of them, right?
Yeah, I like that idea because I have a jet hanging from the ceiling, but the filter is only.
Well, plus
it's just a little filter.
Plus, it's not taking any. Your dust is all down here. It's not really effective.
It fills up in a hurry.
Right?
My dust is pretty indiscriminate. It'll go everywhere.
Well, I can tell when it's not on just by my breathing. Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you. Any other questions?
Language.
Yeah, I think so. So let me see if I can get this. This is a drill bit that I replace using the Forstner bits with. And it's made by a company called Wood Owl. Unfortunately, Woodcraft doesn't carry them. And this model is what they call overdrive. And what I found using the Forstner bits, especially with wet wood, is you can't go very deep before you clear the chips, or you're going to end up with a Forstner bit that is locked into your turning because it jams up. The wet wood gets hot and the water expands the wood fibers and everything gets locked up. And I don't know about you guys, but I've had to use a bandsaw and cut a Forstner bit out a couple times. So I have found these. These are a flat bottom drill bit, but they also clear the chips a lot better. And let me hold up the package. See if I can get it. I may have to turn off the So that's the top of the package, and this is a set of 6 bits. It cost about $100 for the 6 bits, and you can find them online. These things cut wonderfully. You can actually exit through the backside of a piece of wood and not get a bunch of tear out and that type of thing. Now, how to sharpen them, I don't know. I've yet to find information on sharpening the bits, but that's my tip.
Yeah, we talked during the break, we were kibitzing a bit about how to cheat the tool merchants. And I mentioned that I use the piston shaft out of the hydraulic lifters that you have on the hatchback, like the Vanagon. I have 2 of them. And in over a period of about a year with the weather swings we get, the lifters quit holding position. And I get tired of bumping my head. So I replace the lifters and I extend the lifter as far as I can and cut it off with a hacksaw or a angle grinder. And then I use that stock, which is about 1/4 inch diameter, for stock to make small custom hand tools for turning. So you can grind them any way you want. And the material is essentially free. It's just your labor goes into doing it. And I imagine, haven't tried it yet, but I'm quite sure you can heat treat these and then temper them and get a much better performance. But usually small tools like that are not getting that doing that much work to start with, but you can put a nice edge on it and shape the tool to your desired shape. If you look at some of Elie Avicera's tools, he had one particular tool that he made for his son that was a round bar that was sort of had a scoop shaped or a rounded shape ground on across the 0 degree mark and across 180-degree mark. So you basically had them coming together like this. And they were the extended version of a negative rake scraper in many respects. But I use a tool shaped like that with a round nose for a lot of detail work. And on the other end, I just grind a small skew, which lets me go into tight spaces and make cuts that I couldn't make with a standard skew. Free goodies.
Cool.
Okay. All right.
Hey,
If,
Doug, this is Greg. I had sent you a couple pictures.
Okay, you're the other person. I was trying to
Yeah.
find email. See
No, that's all right.
can you spotlight him, or I can?
There we go.
Okay, let me share. And it was this one. Is that your email, Greg?
Yeah, that's it, Doug. You got it.
Okay.
All right, it's just really simple, little 3D printing. I at one of Ron's retreats, I was introduced to the basket weave illusion, and like a lot of the wood turning stuff, right? You get hooked when you start getting some new techniques and embellishments and that sort of thing. And we're fortunate with the at Ron's retreat that we got everything to kind of crudely put stuff together, but it works. And I made a number of basket illusion stuff, and then I started getting into 3D printing. So I printed my own wheel there. That one's got 120 spots, and then a little piston that holds it in place. So you can pull the little black piston at the top of that out. Maybe if you put the other picture up, Doug, that might show it a little bit better as well. Yeah. So I just have a piece of particle board that with some rare earth magnets that sit on the ways of the lathe. And then that little piston and holder is attached to that piece of particle board. So all I have to do is pull that little 3D printed piston out, move it one notch, put it back in, and then I can draw all my lines. Not so sophisticated that I'm burning it, while it's on the lathe, doing that later. But for a few bucks of 3D printing material, and this was PET G. Yeah, it works really, really well. I've been very happy with it, and I just make different rings with different number of holes. This one's 120. I've got one that's like 96 and 70 some. So they're so easy to print and design that it just works really well. So and really cheap too. So that was my jig and how I'm using it.
All right. Another thing I wanted to mention that I should have mentioned earlier is Rick Havens. Are you still in the room, Rick?
Yeah, Rick's here.
Want to congratulate you on your piece that was a WOW featured piece of the week, the Wonder Wood Turners, and then also this week is the AAW featured piece, a nice little hollow form that he made. You don't by chance have that there, do you, Rich? Here we go. Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, this is a piece of black ash, and I kind of like it was cut flat on the top. So the blank, I couldn't leave the whole edge natural edge, but and then of course on this side, you couldn't see it in the AAW picture, but it had a big old void in it. So had a lot of pucker factor in turning, as we were talking about earlier with a couple of the other.
Is that a heel over, or
Is that what?
was that wood that it healed over, or is it a burl? It looks like
It was a
one
burl.
side is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this was the burl here, and this was the straight grain of the limb that it was on.
Yep.
Nice.
And then the pevas or butterflies or whatever are walnut. And then this line here was the bark inclusion of where the burl was attached to, or the burl here was attached to the straight grain.
Very nice.
Thank you.
You made your own pivas?
What's that?
Did you make your own pivas?
No, I ordered them from Big Island Engraving.
Okay.
Online. They have the templates. They have the butterflies of the pevas and all kinds of different sizes and woods, and then they even have custom shaped ones like turtles and crosses and things like that.
Huh.
It's called Big Island Engraving. They're on of course, the Big Island of Hawaii.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I see Ruby still has her hand up. Ruby, you've got the floor.
Okay, a couple of things first. When he was talking about hardening his tools after he shaped them and formed them, when you want to cool them, there is an industrial product called quenching oil. Make sure that you take the tool after you've heated it to cherry red and then put it in quenching oil. Don't use regular oil or water because you could get an explosion that you don't want. Quenching oil is made specifically for heat treating metal. Another tip I'll show you is using old bandsaw blades. I cut them to about 1 foot long, and then I fold them like this into different shaped V's. Sometimes I make them round. And if you sit them on a flat table, it makes it easier for putting finish on your pieces. And then I had a job come in this morning where I have to do 60 of these spindles. And exactly 1 inch from the end, I have to make an 1.25 inch tenon. And the problem is you don't want to knock out these corners. So the way I started was I set up my bandsaw exactly 1 inch from the fence, and I made a cut like this. And as you can see, it doesn't go in very deep, but I make that same cut all the way around the piece. And then when I put it on the lathe, it's very easy to come down and just cut this out. And on this end, on the tailstock end, what I have is a small piece of board with a 1 1/4 inch hole that's been drilled in it with a Forstner bit. And all I do is I slip that on until it'll go in just perfectly. And that way I can go through these in pretty quick order.
Nice.
Okay, and that's it for me.
Okay, anybody else? Any other takers on our tips, tricks, and jigs? Well, then that's going to conclude this meeting. We're going to do our raffle table here. Thank everybody for